It began with a sound no one could explain. In 2003, at the Japan Coastal Observatory, a technician named Reina heard a low hum through the sonar. It pulsed in perfect rhythm, like a heartbeat. At first, she thought it was interference, until the hum repeated her name. Once, twice, then silence. She looked around, but the room was empty. Only the sea, listening back. The next morning, Reina checked the logs. The signal came from 9,000 meters below the surface, too deep for any submarine. Her supervisor, Dr. Sato, brushed it off as tectonic noise. But she noticed something he didn't. Every time the hum appeared, the instruments froze. Exactly 7 seconds, like the ocean was holding its breath. 2 days later, the signal returned, louder. The observatory lights flickered as the hum grew deeper. Security cameras caught a dark shadow moving beneath the sensors. It wasn't fish, nor a whale. It moved too precisely, too aware. When the team played back the recording, it wasn't just sound. There was something behind it. A whisper. A voice trying to form words through the static. When slowed down, it spoke one phrase in Japanese. It remembers. The next day, 2 black cars arrived at the observatory. Men in gray suits stepped out without a word. They took the recordings, the servers, and every note Reina had written. That night, half the system was wiped clean. When Reina asked why, one man replied, "You heard something you shouldn't have."
For 3 days, the ocean went quiet. No waves, no sonar feedback, no marine life movement. The Pacific felt dead, like something massive was hiding beneath. Reina sat by the window, watching the sea's stillness under a blood-red dawn. She whispered to herself, "It's waiting." And for the first time, she was sure the ocean could hear her. The government sent divers that evening, their mission to locate the source of the signal. The live feed showed black water, nothing but darkness. Then a shape appeared on the screen. A giant metallic structure covered in coral and bone. A voice on the comms whispered, "It's not man-made." Halfway through the dive, the signal cut out. Screens in the observatory turned to static. No sound, no movement. Then, just before total blackout, one frame flickered. A diver's helmet camera, and behind him, something vast opened its eyes. The only sound left on the recorder was a low-frequency pulse. When analyzed, it formed a pattern, a perfect imitation of a human heartbeat. Reina played it over and over until she realized it was beating in sync with her own. That night, Reina broke into the restricted archive room. She found an old tape labeled 1972, Deep Anomaly. When she played it, the same sound filled the room, but layered with hundreds of faint voices whispering in unison. They weren't just echoes, they were calling her name.
2 nights later, the radar activated itself. No one was near the control board. The screen pulsed again, only this time the frequency was reversed. Instead of a heartbeat, it sounded like breathing. Slow, deep, and each exhale made the ocean outside ripple. At dawn, something washed ashore. 3 diving helmets, cracked open, filled with seawater, but no bodies inside, only black sand. Reina knelt down, touching the inside of one helmet. It was warm, still breathing. Hours later, black trucks arrived from Tokyo. Men in unmarked uniforms sealed the coast. They took the helmets, the recordings, everything. One soldier told Reina to forget what she saw, but as he turned away, she heard his radio whisper, "It's awake again." Reina returned to the lab the next evening. The building was empty, power cut off. But through the headset, she heard a voice. It wasn't human. It whispered through static, "Why did you listen?" She couldn't stop herself. That night, Reina took a small research sub and descended into the trench alone. The water grew darker, thicker, almost alive. Her lights barely pierced the abyss. At 3,000 meters, the signal returned. This time, it came from inside her vessel. At 3,200 meters, Reina saw something move outside the viewport. Two faint lights. At first, she thought they were reflections, until they blinked. Eyes. Huge, slow, and patient. They floated just beyond the reach of her floodlights, watching. Her oxygen monitor began to pulse in rhythm with the signal. The radar screen filled with symbols, lines of data she didn't recognize. Each pulse formed words in Japanese, then English. Return what was taken. The sub's controls froze. Every light dimmed except one. The frequency counter climbed higher until the sound became a scream underwater. Then the sea changed. The water outside turned solid black, like ink. It wasn't liquid anymore. It moved like muscle. Something was pressing against the sub. Something alive. The glass began to bend inward, and then the voice returned, whispering, "Welcome home." Hours later, the observatory received one final signal. Not sonar, but a voice message. Static. Then Reina's voice, faint and trembling. "It's not water down here. It's skin." Then silence. The radar flatlined, and the trench went quiet forever. Weeks later, the government declared the observatory closed due to equipment failure. All files, recordings, and personnel were reassigned, but fishermen along the coast began hearing the same pulse beneath their boats. Some said it whispered their names. And if you tune your radio to 19.84 Hertz at midnight, you can still hear it, calling someone else. Maybe you.